It's one thing to make sure that you have good grades, which will help you get into the next course, the next class, and of course graduating. But it's a whole different ballgame to make sure that you land yourself a job once you're all done. Generally speaking, in the field of engineering, and this may apply to a lot of fields out there, experience matters, and it may just be as small as one internship for your entire 4-year career, because it speaks volumes to a lot of industries, a lot of companies, firms out there, that at least you've had a little bit of exposure into what you've been learning for the past 4 years, and they're getting someone that has an idea of what they're getting into. And so it is incredibly important and highly advised that students go ahead and get internships and co-ops as quickly as they can and as many as they can. Thankfully, the university that I attended, the professors pushed us quite a bit to apply for internships, for co-ops very early on in our university career. And it didn't matter if we had an idea of what we're going into or if we knew. They just wanted us to have that exposure. And so in this video, I will be sharing with you how I landed my first engineering internship with 0 experience. One of the things that was advised to us as students was to try and apply for internships and co-ops for the upcoming summer so that we can keep ourselves busy. And so I tried my luck and decided to send applications to various firms, companies, to see if I could get myself a summer internship. But unfortunately, that did not work out. Though unfortunate that I did not get myself an internship right after my first year of college, in a way it was a blessing, because I really needed that time to really soak in what I just did, because I just decided to switch from an undecided major into a civil engineering major, and I needed the time to really understand the lay of the land and what may interest me for the next summer if I do decide to apply for an internship. Plus, at the time, I had nothing to offer. My resume was really blank. A lot of the fonts and text were huge because I lacked what to put on that resume. So I really did not have anything to offer that would say like, oh, she's a great student, you know, she pays attention to detail. There was nothing of substance just yet to get me to be competitive with the other students. So I decided to change that, and during my second year, I got involved in various organizations, and I also threw in a group project that I was part of, which helped for the next summer. The second year rolled around after my sophomore year of college, and so that summer that was coming up, I was hell-bent on getting an internship. And so I applied to a lot of private firms, a lot of public agencies, to see if I could get in, and a lot of the responses I was getting was rejections. Oh, I'm sorry. What else? There were just rejection letters upon letters. But there was this one public agency that I would not just let go. March, April, May was coming up, and that's when the school year gradually starts to wrap up. And by that time, a lot of students already know what they're doing for the summer. And I'm sitting over here and saying, I have no clue what I'm going to be doing. And so as I was getting all these rejection letters, I decided to apply to a known public agency, and they didn't give me a reply. And so I decided to start calling. I called so many times, I started to feel bad. Like, I don't know why I just wanted to get in this particular public agency. Like, I called them every couple of days, like every 2-3 days, I was calling to follow up on my application. It was the same message that I said. I was like,
hello, my name is Dem. I applied for an internship position at the public agency, and I was just calling to follow up on my application to hear what you guys have to say.
Some of these calls were answered by someone, and if they did, they always told me like,
yeah, we're looking at your application, we'll get back to you as quickly as possible.
It was a lot of that, and I applied to these guys probably like late April, May, which is really late. So I was really adamant about getting into this particular one because everybody else rejected me. So I was like, I have to go somewhere. So I called them for a month straight. And one day I received an email saying, "You've been scheduled for an interview." At some point in my mind, I was like, this guy is either scheduled an interview with me to tell me like,
Hey, just stop calling. We don't want you.
or they're just really impressed that someone can be as consistent as I am when she wants something. So yeah, I got scheduled for an interview and prepared for it as much as I could, dressed up and everything. And when the D-Day came, I walked into the interview room and all of a sudden I see like 7-8 people sitting in front of me and I'm like, what the? So you're probably wondering why there were 8 people there to interview a college student who's a sophomore and just wants to get some experience, right? Like, I don't want a managerial job. I don't want anything serious. I just want to see what you guys are doing and see if this is something that I want to get into, right? And so the reason why there were those many people at the table is because there were 2 internship positions open and they wanted to give me the option of choosing one. So one of the open positions was construction related and the other was more data analysis, data collection related. So throughout the interview, these 2 separate entities were asking me questions back and forth. Nothing too serious, more of like my behavioral characteristics, what I'm interested in, what I'm not interested in, things along that line, what I would like to do at the agency, if I want to be more into construction or more into data analysis. When both of them, both entities were presenting their case as to what I'll be getting myself into, the construction people held up a book and it was a construction specification manual, I believe that's what's called. And I saw how thick that book was and they said, yeah, you're gonna learn how to use this thing and maybe you could memorize it. And the second I saw that book, I was like, okay, let's put that on ice for now. And then I spoke to the other entity, which they talk about the data collection, the data analysis. When they were talking about what the data could do and what data could mean and how I could be involved in that process, that was more enticing to me than looking at a manual all day, every day. That's what my mind was processing at the time. So quickly, I did not even waste any time. I told them, yeah, I'm going to go to the data analytics side. So that's the story of how I was able to get my first summer internship. I called and I kept calling consistently, and I think I annoyed someone to where they were like, okay, just bring her in. I'm tired of my phone ringing right now. So thankfully that turned into an opportunity. And so if you're someone who is trying to get yourself an internship or a co-op and you don't have that much to show yet, it's going to be challenging. But I think one thing that I benefited from was keep asking, because someone will have a response for you. Even if it's a no, at least you can take that and see what you need to change. So thankfully I was able to get myself through the door, but there are definitely some things that I would have done differently. One of them is to apply early. I waited too late in the game to actually start applying. Companies budget and post these positions as early as 1 year in advance. And so, for example, say the next summer you want to get a job, companies are starting to create descriptions, and by the fall or by August, September, they start to post these positions, and some of those positions are gone by December. And so starting early is helpful so that you're not as stressed as you go through the semester or through the year. The second thing that I would have probably done differently is to ask professors their thoughts, because professors are your first professional connections. A lot of them have real life experience, so they've actually been professionals before they came back into schools to teach. So they have that background. They know what it is to hire, they know what they're looking for. And so they will give you a perspective on how you can change your resume, how you can show up at career fairs differently to make you stand out. Or maybe they may know someone who is in a particular industry who is looking for a summer intern, and they may refer you. So it's not a bad idea to go to a professor and just ask. At the time, if you told me to go to a professor as a sophomore, I'll probably say no, not going there because of my mentality at the time. But now that I've done all 4 years and more, I can say confidently that these guys are there for you. And the third thing that I would have done differently is to be more involved with student organizations. So when I said at some point in this video that I threw in that I was involved in a student organization, I honestly just put my name on there and showed up for like 3 meetings and probably 1 event, which is very minimal. And if you can carve the time to get yourself involved in the student orgs, it's not only for your resume but also for you as well, because that's when you interact with more people and you start to develop your own personality. You start to work with different people, you get to hear different perspectives, and you start to really expose yourself out there to where someone in that student organization may also be working for a different company, and that company may be needing another summer intern and they may recommend you. So you never really know. It's always a good idea to be heavily involved. I was not, but that's one thing that if I had done college again, definitely I would put myself in those situations. So I've come to the end of this video where I talk about how I was able to get my foot in the door by getting that summer internship, and shared with you the lessons that I learned in the process. If you have any questions about what I spoke about or the previous videos that I've spoken about, please feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.